Hello, this is Sierra and welcome to another video. Today we're doing another video inside of Hermitcraft Season Clockwork. We are in Story 5 with Jim as the main perspective in this case. And yeah, we're getting right into spoiler territory. You might be able to figure out, I won't say what it is, but it might be related to another YouTuber. And it might be based off videos that have happened, so don't want to be spoiled. I might just leave one of the videos down in the description. Just saying. If you want to look at that first so you understand afterwards, that's fine too. But yeah, I'll explain afterwards, okay? If I had time. Chapter 2. It wasn't long before she fell through the other side onto some damp grass, rolling over on her back as she blinked, sitting there for a few moments before she realized just how dark it was outside. Confusion hit her as she sat up, looking around before spotting Scar's figure, somewhat illuminated by the portal light. "Why is it so dark out here?" she asked as she got to her feet, looking over at the portal warily. "I'm not sure, but I see some light over there," Scar replied, pointing over by a spruce and birch checkered path, which was some light peeking through the trees beyond. It wasn't terribly dark, but compared to how dark it was out here, it was noticeable. "I don't like this. The men are practically camouflaged here," she admitted as she shivered, wishing she'd brought a sweatshirt or something. Why was it so chilly out here? Why was there no moon or stars? Or was it even night here? Nighttime here? Scar nodded his head as he looked over at the portal. If you want to enact your plan, now's not a bad time." "I don't know how to turn it off," she admitted. I saw X doing it once when we got to your world to try me and Pearl time." "Bide me in Pearl time." He smiled sadly, his face just barely visible as he walked over to the portal, punching some buttons before darkness completely consumed the area apart from the little bit of light in the distance. "There, that should do it." "What did you do?" she asked curiously. The YouTuber shrugged. "Doing what I do best. When the worst comes to worst, I break the system." "Scar!" she said with a laugh. She could tell the man was smiling, but she could certainly imagine a wide grin across his face. How much time do you think we have?" The YouTuber didn't say anything at first. She heard footsteps coming in her direction. She could hear the groans, hisses, and other sounds of monsters out there in trees, which made her feel wary. It could be blown up by a creeper, and they wouldn't even know it until it was almost on top of them. Slowly, her eyes started adjusting to the darkness as she noticed shadowy figures just beyond the trees. She wasn't sure what they were. They weren't moving around like monsters would. They seemed smarter, much more dangerous. "We should go," she said quietly, feeling a hand on her shoulder as Scar gently pushed her towards the better part of the clearing, closer to the light. "Got a few rockets left," Scar reassured her. "You're not going anywhere." "You're not going anywhere," a cold voice said in the darkness, as she felt something grab her from behind, and she couldn't help but scream. She felt hands grabbing her before she was yanked away as she heard a grunt from beside her as she got to her feet. "Go, Jim!" Scar insisted. "Wait, what about you?" she demanded, trying to look around to find him as she felt someone grab her and pull her aside, closer to the light as just about made out his face, which looked very silly. "If there's light on the other side of those trees, that means there's probably people living there," the YouTuber told her firmly. "That means you can get help." "Can't we just slip away now?" she asked as she noticed the men reorienting themselves in the darkness as their figures headed towards them. He shook his head, his green eyes meeting hers. "You need to trust me, Jim. I trust you." "I don't know if you should," she admitted nervously. He handed her some rockets with a sad smile. "Please, I'll be okay." She bit her bottom lip. She bit her bottom lip as she nodded. "I'll come back." "Counting on it." The man winked as he charged towards the men, disappearing into the darkness as she waited one moment before launching herself into the air as one of the men tried to grab her. She could hear what sounded like arrows being fired in the darkness as they tried to shoot her down. She fired herself up higher as she looked down, not seeing Scar or anyone down below. But as she looked up, she blinked, noticing that sunlight in the distance. Along was a body of water. The only place that wasn't plunged in darkness was an island in distance, which she could tell some sort of structure with black stone walls. But she wasn't sure exactly what it was. She could tell the tower was made out of nether brick, though, from this distance. She glanced back down, too far away to hear anything from below, as she waited, dodging any arrows she heard, which were ultimately sticking to the roof above. That would explain why the area was so dark. Along with towers, she could now see dotting through what appeared to be a large town of shops, restaurants, and games. Just in the distance, she glided over to the town. It was lit by torches. She tried to find a safe place to land. It was her best hope of finding help. She would be back, though, and she would not rest until she found her friend. She would make sure of that. Let's continue. Episode 19, Chapter 3. I might as well. Jem landed safely onto the spruce and birch checkered path, surrounded by light and buildings, as she looked around, unsure of where to start. Maybe the best place to be was wherever that island was right now, but she wasn't sure. Something was clearly going on when they arrived here. Was this a bad time? Where was she supposed to go? She could feel her heart racing as she began walking down the path, not sure even where she was going as she did so. She was in an unfamiliar place with a friend that needed her help. What was she meant to do? Hello? Is anyone out there? She called loudly, hearing her voice echo a little bit as it faded away. She could see something ahead, like some sort of mansion or something, or at least a really big house. It was made out of oak wood and sandstone. She could just about see light coming through the glass dome, walls, and even the lava feature at which she assumed was in front of the house. She approached it. Hello? Is anyone home? She blinked as her eyes adjusted to the lighting, shivering as she wrapped her arms around herself. Why was this place so cold? Was it the lack of sunlight coming through? She needed to keep warm. It wasn't like she'd freeze, though, but cold was a bit uncomfortable. Her thoughts were redirected when she heard a whine from behind her as she turned around slowly, seeing a dog behind her, wagging her fluffy tail between her legs. As her brown eyes looked up at her, she could see fear in those eyes. Her heart melted. Oh, you poor thing. You don't need to be scared. I'm here, she said gently as she went over to kneel down in front of the dog, noticing her shaking as she spotted a yellow collar around her neck. Where's your owner? The dog whined again as he looked back towards the island, back over toward with her with a sad look in her expression. Jem looked around the area, not spotting any monsters nearby as she gently petted the dog. Don't worry, we'll find them, she said softly as she stood up again. It might be safer if we go over there, though, seeing as there's a monster infestation here. She jumped when the dog's whine turned into a low growl as she looked back down at her in surprise. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on. What do you think we should do then? The dog's growl grew deeper as she looked over her with confusion before following her gaze as she spotted a figure over by a tree with something in them. The figure was at the trunk, watching them before it began to approach. Who are you? She demanded as she stood up straighter as he stepped out of the shadows, revealing himself to be one of Miss Stray's men as he smiled. Oh, that's not important to you, the man said slyly. I was told to follow you, to make sure you didn't get away. We can't have anyone know what's going on. People do know what's going on, she said firmly. Not just me or Matthias, not just Devon, so you're doing a pretty bad job at it. Who else knows, then? He blundered as he tilted his head. That's none of your business, she snapped firmly. Very well, the man chuckled. The dog growled again as they took a step closer. I'd ask you to hold back your dog, but I don't think you have that power. I've tried to find her owner. Do you happen to know where they are? She asked. I don't. Sorry, but I'm sure he'll be back for us soon, the man smiled. As for you, you're coming with me. She shook her head and smiled. That's not how this works, unfortunately. Is that a challenge? The man pressed as he extended his sword. Suddenly, there was a groan from behind the man as he yelped in surprise as he was shoved to the ground by a zombie. She glanced over at the dog and gestured for her to follow. The dog didn't hesitate as they ran into the town, past what appeared to be a bakery as they headed toward the open area, which probably was a park. The area seemed pretty dark and was teeming with monsters, but she wasn't planning on getting in there. If worst came to worst, she could make the man have to deal with them while she flew to safety. Though she wasn't sure about the dog. She wasn't keen on leaving her alone with the man or the monsters. She looked back behind her to realize, with relief, that the man hadn't chased them. Probably too busy dealing with a zombie or any number of monster horrors that were around. She slowed to a walk just as the ceiling that concealed the world in darkness vanished as she covered her eyes, looking away as the sun blasted down on the land below. She stumbled as she was nudged towards a wall as she blinked, disoriented and confused as she felt something wet on her leg. She looked down to see the dog was licking her overalls. She smiled in amusement. Hey, I'm okay. I just didn't get a warning that the lights were going back on. That was bright. She did with a sigh as she steadied herself, looking around the now bright and colorful town. It looked pretty charming, though simple in each and every design. No two buildings were the same. The dog whined again as she wagged her tail, which was no longer between her legs, as she followed the dog's gaze to see 3 figures walking down the path along with what appeared to be 9 dogs, following one of them. She could make out a human amongst the group. A young boy in his late teens, golden brown hair and deep blue eyes, an orange ginger cat with bright green eyes, and a yellow duckling with ocean blue eyes. The dogs seemed to be following the cat, which partially amused and intrigued her. Is that your owner, I presume? She guessed, looking over to the dog, but she had disappeared. She looked back just as she saw the cat bending down to pet the dog happily, as they were close enough now that she could hear them. I'm so sorry that I left you behind there, Fluffy. It was just through all the chaos. I just wasn't thinking, he said gently. I promise that I won't forget you again, okay? She could see the dog's fluffy white tail swishing back and forth eagerly as the dog licked the cat's face, probably just happy to see him again. She watched with a sad smile, glad to see the two reunited. Her attention was redirected when she had a feeling someone was watching her. She looked up to see the young boy had spotted her. He gently redirected the cat's attention and pointed, calling out to her. Jem hesitated for a moment before walking over to them, seeing all their eyes on her. Hi. Hi, the boy said with a smile. I noticed you were watching us. Yeah, I really wasn't hiding it very well, was I? She chuckled. I'm Jem. Who are you guys? I'm Sam, the boy said happily. And this is Stampy and Squishy. I'm sort of their protector, you might say. Oh, yeah. She nodded her head with a smile. A friend of mine likes to call our batch escorts, because they really escort us around, you know. I've heard that term before, though. That's interesting, the cat pondered. Fluffy tells me you were keeping our company while our world was plunged in darkness. Is that right? Yeah, a little bit, she admitted sheepishly. We kind of came here when the world was already plunged into darkness. The fact that the portal area had no torches around wasn't helpful either. Weird, the duckling replied with frown. I could have sworn there were torches around there before. Mr. A's men must have removed them, Chip said softly, as she sighed. Just to mess with us. Us? Was someone with you? The cat asked with concern. Yeah, it took him a couple tries to figure that out. She nodded her head slightly. I could have just got wrapped into some business and the men were doing some sort of big mission. My friend wanted me to go and get help. I had to leave her behind. I mean, we could have a look at the portal now to see if there's anything else still there, Sam said calmly. I'm not sure what we'll find over there, honestly, she said nervously. I don't even know why they would bring us here of all places. It just doesn't make sense. That's odd. That is odd, the cat agreed. Do you want to make any calls with the communicator here first, or check out the portal? Well, I'm fine with either, she admitted. My friend kinda also broke the system on the portal a bit. That's fine, that can easily be fixed, Sam said with a shrug. Smile was friendly. I want to get my dogs to the doghouse first to make sure they're safe, the cat admitted. How about we go to my house first and figure out what to do from there? Sounds like a plan to me, Squishy said eagerly, as they nodded. Relief filled the young YouTuber, knowing they were now one step closer to finding Scar and getting them out of the mess he must be in. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that might be. And yes, be sure to watch the episode Darkness from Stampy channel. It is in the Target Attacks playlist, so that's not a problem. It's there, as well as some other spoiler stuff. Just be careful. Spoilers from this, spoilers from that, spoilers from everywhere. Man, there's a lot of spoilers. Spoilers. It's a spoiler week. By this point, you probably already know, and if you don't, you can catch up. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and yes, I will see you in the next one, whenever that